Out there in the land of YouTube. What's going on, YouTubies? I'm YouTubing right now. I'll turn the comments on for 1 second and say hello to everybody. And then I will go right into what I'm going to go. I should have done this when I started off. I'm going to be breaking down Allison D. Burroughs' career and her biography. I'm going to go over, you guys, a lot of people sent me information about Allison D. It's Allison Dale Burroughs. And so this is her ballotpedia. And so I want to go over a few of these things in some pretty significant detail. If you guys would hit the like button. And then this is her confirmation or questionnaire from the Senate. And so we're going to go over her questions. And she's in Woburn, Massachusetts. This is public information that you can get on the internet. Obviously I want to do an investigation on her and find out everything about her so we can know what she actually stands for. Of course, I always want to repeat, I'm a nonviolent person. I call for nonviolence through peace, legislation, petitioning, assembling, and suing. Sue the government as many times as you can because the government sucks. Sue their asses off until we get the change that we want. And so I have no bones about exposing everything I can about Allison Dale Burroughs. But I think the funniest part for me, and then to a couple guys, Jeff and, I'm sorry, I was so fired up last live. I'm a human being and let me turn this off. Let me turn off my Bluetooth. So I turned off the Bluetooth so you guys should be able to. Bruce, what is going on, Playboy? What's going on with the rabbit? And so I'm just going to make sure I get all the information that I was sent. Where was I screenshotting that from? Let me airdrop. I'm going to have to airdrop a document from this phone to here. I got all my aggression out on the last one, so this one's going to be a little more calm and reserved. I realize I get fired up and I'm not sorry. I know sometimes I got to pull it back a little bit to get my point across better. So I didn't even watch back the last live. I just know how fired up I was. So I just want to do what I can here to try to show you who this person is who's been just being horrible to me. She's a giant CopSucker. Like, she's a gigantic CopSucker. The cops have given her awards for years. If you go to my channel, I don't respect pigs. I think 95% are scum. And she's getting awards from pigs. I mean, yeah, no problem, Jeff. Hey, Jeffrey B is one of those guys. I'm sorry for blocking you on the last live. You just have your opinion, and that's fine. Good to see you. Good to see you, Dan Fizzle. Yeah, 99% of cops are scum. I'm sorry. If you're a pigger and you signed up and you don't have YouTube and you don't see how pigs are treating people, well, why would you join that? Why would you join that? There's a movement going on right now to get rid of torture cuffs. Why would you do that? So let me just show you. Yeah, my blood pressure is actually pretty good. My blood pressure was measuring pretty normal last week. I haven't checked it this week, but my blood pressure was normal and pretty good. But I think the point when I do watch the videos back when I have time, I think it comes back. I'm with you right there, Harrison County audits all the way, dude. I can't stand most cops. Sorry. I think most cops are scumbags. I've met some cool cops, man. You guys remember that cop in Oklahoma? There was 2 cops in Oklahoma that were pretty cool. There was a pretty cool cop in Denver that I met. That was a pretty cool guy. There was a pretty cool cop in Arizona who did a welfare check when I was asleep in my car. I've met a few cool cops, but they're the anomaly. And by the way, my friend who is the ex-cop who downloaded all that information to me when I was in Colombia, when people started calling me a liar in the comments, he called me and said, I want you to release the audio. I actually have to change his voice because I don't want him to get hurt. And he told me that police are a retaliating group of pigs. And so I don't want my friend to get hurt. So I'm actually taking, I can show you guys the audio. It's all cut up. It's all ready to go. I just got to change the voice a little bit. Hit the like button. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. I'm going to hit the like button. Just hit the like button. It'll take you 1 second. Just tap, tap, tappy. Everybody likes a little tap, tap, tappy. Just tap, tap, tappy. If you're Mormon, you soak and tap, tap, tappy. But it is what it is. Just do me a favor and hit the like button. If you'd hit the like button, if you would, please. Thank you. I mean a lot. Let me do one more airdrop from my phone because a bunch of you guys sent me in information. I really appreciate it. So let me just. I have one more document to airdrop from this phone. I'll be right back. Where was that? Chevy V Boyer. Bruce is in the room. What's going on, you guys? Where was that? I think that was from my friends J&S. I think that was from them. I think they sent that to me. Let me see. Did you guys, I think they sent me something. Let me make sure I have this one last document. Oh, you did? Yum Yum. How'd your shoulder surgery go? Yum Yum had shoulder surgery. Yeah, but Gloria, that's just the way it is. It's a tough thing. Okay, so where is that? It's just gonna bug the snot out of me. Give me 15 seconds. Let me find this dang document. Yep. Okay. So, okay. So here's what I got so far for her. So this was her Senate. This is Allison Burroughs. This is her Senate confirmation hearing or the questionnaire. She states her full name. She puts her office in here. State of the position for which you're nominated for, United States District Judge of Massachusetts. This is where her office is, and that's where her in Weyburn, Massachusetts. This is all public knowledge. State her year of her birth, 1961 in Massachusetts. Oh, shoot. And then it says list in reverse chronological or each of the college degrees. There was somebody who sent me a list of all the awards that Allison D. Burroughs was given. Does someone have that list of, am I okay here? Can you guys see me? This broadcast seems a little scattered to me, to be honest. I'm frustrated because I don't have everything in order here. But I didn't plan on doing this. I'm just tired of getting cheated by this chick. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of her ruling on motions that the opposition doesn't reply to. Look, it's kind of funny because the opposition really touted that I said that I was really going to file motion after motion after motion, and I am. The motions are not frivolous. I have every right to file them. I warned the opposition that if you didn't leave me alone, I would sue you eventually, and now I am. And I said that I would file motion after motion. It would cost you a lot of money. And it is. And I'm going to continue. I'm not going to stop. My motions are not frivolous. I have, just like I said, remember your First Amendment, RAPS, R-A-P-P-S, religion, assembly, petition. Petition is motion. You have a right to motion for justice. And that's what I'm doing. I told the opposition that I would break them and I would continue to go after them until I broke them financially, which is what I'm doing. I'm keeping my word, and it's within the boundaries of the law. It's my right to be able to petition when I want to know information or I want to go after someone because I feel like they violated my rights. So that's what I'm doing. Burroughs, what she's doing is ruling against my motions before the opposition has a chance to reply. And what I want is I want to hammer her. I want to bill her. That's what I want to do. So that's what I'm doing. Ultimately, I want to sue. I'm suing and I want to win money. But I can't do that if Allison D. Burroughs is unjust. Does anybody have that document? Does anybody have that document? Where was that document that showed the list of the awards that she got from the FBI and from the, I'll just look it up. She won all these awards for the where was that? I think was that my friends who sent that to me. That's the one I want to go over first. That's the one I wanted to go over first. I wanted to go over these ones because So we'll just go over this first, and then I'll get to those. But if you guys didn't see these on the community tab, I want to show you something. Oh, you know what I can do? I can just take these exact words, copy and paste them into Google, and then take a look at the articles that pop up. Hey, Tennessee Accountability, what's going on? So let me just type this in. Okay, so that was that one. But these cop sucking awards she gets, Boston Police Detective. So type this into Google and then send me that link. I'll do it. Boston Police Detective Benevolent Society Award of Excellence. She wins this award. I put this on the community tab. So she wins this award here, but if someone can find this document, I think it might be even in Wikipedia. Maybe it's in Wikipedia. And then she doesn't just win that award, she wins plenty of awards for supporting the war on drugs and supporting police. She remember, so when you win an award from the Boston Police Detectives Benevolent Fund, there might be a banquet and a fundraiser for you, and there's good press for you where you take pictures, and Allison's taking pictures with pigs, and look at me supporting pigs, and look at me arm in arm with pigs. And so she gets an award. And when you go to that, then you're rubbing elbows with the lieutenant and the commander and the major. And so Allison, by the way, I it is what it is, but now she feels like she's one of the boys, and she's not. She never will be. So I think it's on her Wikipedia. So I'm just gonna go. I think it's going to pop up on her Wikipedia, actually, where she wins all these awards from pigs. Oh, great picture, Allison. So this is her Wikipedia page. There's the judge right there. She's a raging liberal, appointed by Obama in 2014. Raging liberal. I'm talking, to be appointed by Barack Obama, Chris, I'm always looking for more information. I want her to understand what it's like when thousands of people look you up and investigate you. I want her to know what that feels like. Oh, I guess she's already been through it because she's a politician, essentially. Remember, she works for the Democratic Party. Now, listen, whether you guys like that or not, that's the way it is. Every president who appoints a federal judge, every president who appoints a Supreme Court justice, I don't call them that, I call them Supreme Court personnel, they work for that party. They work for the liberals or the conservatives or the pro-lifers or the against the gun lobby or for the gun lobby. Every time that someone is appointed, then they have this allegiance to that particular. Now, there's been people who have betrayed. There's been people who have gone against that at the Supreme Court. Who was the big disappointment for the conservative? I don't want to get lost. So now I want to get down to where we get to these awards here. Where were the awards? God bless it. Where were those awards where she won the Boston Police? But let's just read her. It says, Burroughs was born in 1961 in Boston, Massachusetts. She received a Bachelor of Arts cum laude from Middlebury College. Well, you know what? So now I want to play a game with you guys. This is how I do research. So now I'm going to research Middlebury College and take a look at what the value is of Middlebury College. How expensive is it to go to Middlebury College? Is that they have a $1.5 billion endowment. So here it is. So would this be a rich person's college? If you scroll down here, 1800, established in 1800, 222 years ago. $1.5 billion endowment. They got 1.5. What? President Lori Patton. Okay. So now let me go like this, and I want you guys to join me in doing this. Get your computer open, and let's say Middlebury College. How much is Middlebury College per semester? I just want to see if she's a rich, white, entitled, white liberal. Did I say white twice? Because so far, it is what it is, but I just want to know how much it is. How much does it cost? $62,000. Gotcha. That's who you are, honey. That's who you are. So you are an entitled liberal from the Upper East Side. $62,000 to go to Middlebury. Wow. Good for Allison. Allison, you must have had a hell of a good upbringing. God bless you, honey. I mean, if she watches this, but she wouldn't watch my videos, would she? So, okay, so there's that. And let's keep reading on here a little bit more about Allison D. Burroughs. So let me read it to you guys again how it should read. Biography. Born in 1961 to super rich elitists in the Upper East America. She got a bachelor's of arts from a super entitled rich yuppie college. Am I wrong? She received a Juris Doctorate cum laude in 1968 from the University of Pennsylvania Law School. How much is University of Pennsylvania Law School? I'm going to leave that tab open. I'm going to open another tab. Cost of University of Pennsylvania Law School. Let's just find out about Allison. Tuition. How much is law at UPenn? $67,000 a year. So her parents are putting out like $100,000 a year. Totals $100,000 a year to go to college. Matt, I'm an investigative journalist. I'm investigating the judge who's ruled against all of my motions when she ruled exactly for the exact motion that we just submitted 2 days ago. We submitted the exact motion she approved 2 years ago. I'm investigating this person to find out what her bias could be against me, a conservative who's for wiping away all gun rights and for strong borders. We don't agree on everything, but I'm also pro-choice. So all the conservatives can like, oh, or all the fake pro-lifers like, oh, he's pro-choice. Yeah, I'm pro-choice, and I'm pro-Brittany Reiner coming home. So I'm not stupid. I'm just conservative in the values I have from my upbringing. And it's not what I chose. It is what it is. I am what I am. So then as we continue down here, it says, super entitled white woman from Boston. Let me turn off the comments here so I can read. Sorry, guys. So it says, she began her legal career as a law clerk for Judge Norman Shapiro of the United States District Court of Eastern Pennsylvania from 1988 to 89. See, this is the thing I'm trying to show you guys right now. The way I do research for this is the same way I do research when I'm researching history. So now what I do is I go to the judge that she clerked for, Norma L. So she also was, she's a woman during the woman empowerment era, because that judge is going to be a judge in the 80s. That's what's going to happen here. So Norma Levy Shapiro, who's she appointed by here? So she's this chick. Now here's Norma. Okay, now she's dyed in the wool. So this is how liberal this woman is that's presiding over my case. This woman was also appointed by Jimmy Carter. So this president appointed the woman who she clerked for. Allison was appointed by Barack Obama. Then she went to this super entitled college where it cost tons and tons of money. And so that means Norma plugged her in to the elite power brokers of Washington, D.C. That's what happened. Because remember, if she's in office 78 to 98, even when Norma was going to law school, just so you guys know, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's true, she probably got picked on by men and treated bad because we were such a male chauvinist society back then. I mean, you know, if you really want to go into to research history and understand, you know, women didn't even get the right to vote till 1920 with the 19th Amendment. So, you know, when Norma was going to college, she was probably picked on a lot and bullied a lot just because she was a woman getting a law degree. And so, you know, I don't agree with that kind of stuff. So that means that she had to align really strongly with a particular kind of ideology to survive that. And so the ideology she survived that with. And remember, if Jimmy Carter is appointing Norma, well, let's just keep reading a little bit further. So this is Norma's biography, and Shapiro received a Bachelor of Arts degree, Order of Coit. She's clerked for George Horace Stern of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. So Norma here, she clerked for Judge Horace of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So now you go down and you take a look at, and you see who Mr. Horace was, and you find out what he was about. I should have done this beginning, but I had the idea that at federal court, the laws would mean something, and a miscarriage of justice would be categorized as such, and in the interest of justice, I would be treated fairly, and I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly. So now let's take a look at Judge Horace, succeeded by, he's Norman, not much information. It doesn't say who appointed him. Having served, let's just take a look at this real quick. So the Chief Justice, Principal Supreme, oh, so he was Chief Justice. So Norma clerked for the Chief Justice of the, again, remember where we are. We're in the upper East America, in Northeast America, with these supremely yuppie liberals. And so everything's coming out of the Northeast. So born to a Jewish family in Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania, UPenn. So I wonder, he went to UPenn Law, right? And he was the one that Norma clerked for. So now let's take a look at Norma here and see education and career, Philadelphia, UPenn. She went to UPenn too. And then when you go to Allison Burroughs, you're going to go federal biography, UPenn. She went to UPenn as well. So what you're talking about is a long history of power colluding on top of power. And of course, Judge Burroughs isn't afraid of my appeal or anything I can do to her, because when I appeal the case, which eventually that will happen, when I appeal the case, when she rules against me, then it's going to be one of her judges. And then what you have to find out on the appeals because when we appeal, it goes to multiple judges, it goes to a judge panel, and then that judge panel will make a determination. But as you can see, they all may be looped in together. So we have to take a look at that judges panel and see where those judges are affiliated from. Because remember, there's this thing called alumni when you have a proper upbringing with two parents and they send you to $100,000 a year school. There's this thing called an alumni association. So what we're seeing here is this alumni association from UPenn so far has got one judge on the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, and then got that female judge Norma in 1978, which was probably really hard to do, and then they got the judge Allison Burroughs appointed by Obama. And remember, these people are not being appointed by nobodies. I mean, she's being appointed by Barack Obama, and Norma is being appointed by Jimmy Carter. So that's the definition of statism. When power is colluded together from one source in a centralized location, that's called statism. And that's what you guys are seeing. This is literally statism. That's what it looks like to me. So now let's keep reading a little bit more and see how much further down. So now we know that this is a very Northeast liberal yuppie community of people who are stacked on top of each other for generations. And they're all going to see my video and be like, oh my God, woe is he talking about Allison as though she's being unjust to him. Yeah, that's what I feel like. And I'm a reporter, so I'm reporting to my people that I feel like she's being unjust. I feel like this is a miscarriage of justice. Ruling against every motion, writing these things to me that are like trying to smack me down like I'm a fly, like I don't matter. You know, I wonder if Allison understands that in today's world, we get to just share and broadcast everything. You can write the stuff you're writing to me. You or the clerk, Caitlin McManus, the Allison Burroughs or Caitlin McManus can write these things. However, I can broadcast what you write and what you say. I just can't film in the courtroom. And why, anybody, let me turn the chat on real quick. Put a 1 in the chat if you think we can't, put a 1 in the chat if you think we can't film in the courtroom. because they're trying to hide things. Just put a 1 in the chat if you think that. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that you can't film your trial because they're trying to cheat you. Why can't you record it? Why can't I plug in my audio recorder and then be willing to be subjected to certain things being omitted, people's names, people's date of births, and things like that? Why can't I? How come I can't bring my recorder in the courtroom? And Allison D. Burroughs is going to be now subjected to 2022 media. Allison, I want anybody who has information about Allison D. Burroughs, especially enemies of her that she created along the road, especially conservatives. I'm sure she cheated conservatives. I would bet my right hand to God that she did the same thing to conservatives. Because I hate cops, I don't like cops, I don't respect cops. I've been very open about it. I'm nice to some of them if they're nice to me. You joined the Death Star. I don't respect you for doing it. Somebody's got to do it. It doesn't have to be you. It takes a good man to do that, to put torture cuffs on another person. So I believe, what I think is this journalist right here with 800 videos, I believe Allison D. Burroughs is watching my videos. She sees that I hate cops. I think they're scum. And she's ruling against me constantly. That's what I think. So that's my position. Am I allowed to say it, or am I going to get a U.S. Code 18? Is that what's going to happen to me? I've said that I feel like I'm being treated poorly, that I'm not getting justice. Oh man, let's keep researching more about Allison D. Burroughs. Did someone find that where I want film in the courtroom 100%? That's one of the missions of Delete Laws, so. Everybody hit the like button, please. Everybody hit there's 250 people in here and 50 likes. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Ooh, let me report that. You know what? I'm not going to report it because I don't know. I can't keep up with the comments because I don't read them most of the time. So I'm not going to block or report anybody. I'll let the mods do what they're doing. So now we know Allison is deeply involved with a extraordinarily liberal faction that she's been engulfed in for 100 years. And so now did someone find that? Because I want to, Deanna, how are you? Good to see you. I want to see what they put here for. Boston Police Detective Award. Someone sent that to me earlier, and I can't seem to find that document again, and I'm looking for it. Is that where it is? It's bugging me so bad that I just have to know. I just have to know. I want to know her biography. I want to know more about her biography, and I want to know more about the things that she's done as far as getting awards from cops. And someone sent that to me. If someone could resend that to me again, please. She won a bunch of awards from cops, from the FBI, from, where was that? Let me text my friend Tina. Hey, where was that document that had the FBI and the Boston Police Department awards in it? I know it, but I don't want to do it when I got a bunch of people online. I hate to be distracted in any way. I want to just talk with you guys. And earlier when I was talking about Tommy's case, I was just so incensed that this woman, Piggy Daniels, that she was so proud that I could pull my gun whenever I want. And I had been thinking about it and burning on it. And then, we don't feel like we can get justice in this courtroom. So, let me try to list Allison D. Awards. There is on her Wikipedia page, but let me see. It doesn't list all the awards. And there was somewhere where it had a list. Is that where it is? Is it on Ballotpedia? Is that where it is? Let me see. If it is on Ballotpedia. Okay, so here this is. Thanks a lot. So now this is on Ballotpedia, and this is regarding Allison Dale Burroughs. And I want you guys to take a look, and I'm going to go back to 93 here, okay? FBI plaque in recognition outstanding prosecutor support in FBI task force investigations. What? of the junior black mafia. You know, I'm not sure if people know this or not, but the people that I'm suing call themselves a mafia as well. And Allison D. Burroughs is being completely unfair as far as I'm concerned. So, and then it says here, 1995, let me turn these comments off real quick. I can't see the comments. 1995, FBI and IRS plaque for dedication of outstanding service in Cash Unlimited investigation. So far, she's in bed with the FBI, and she's getting awards by the FBI and the IRS, two enemies of the people. These folks are not, they don't help us. There's all kinds of people who have cross-state criminal things going on, and the FBI is not helping any of us. The IRS, Biden just got 75,000. And by the way, it's not just Biden, it's all the presidents. They're all terrible. But Biden just appointed like 78,000 new IRS agents, and not just any, these are militarized. 1997, Organized Crime Enforcement Task and Appreciation of Outstanding. So do you guys know the number one organized criminal group in America is police? And you can read the Wickersham Commission. It's on my website for free. And it says that the first gang in America were organized alcohol swindlers that were cops. So the organized crime in America, and let me just talk on this for a minute. While Allison D. Burroughs is a giant copsucker you can see from the awards here yourself. The police are the number one gang in America. They're the number one drug dealers. They're the number one pimps. They're the number one gambling group. They're the number one extortionist lobbyist. They're the number one of everything when it comes to criminal enterprise. It's ran by cops. In the 80s, when they were trying to break up the Crips and the Bloods, eventually they found out that the head of one of those gangs was a cop. The police are the head of every single organized crime in America, every one of them. Even from the big terrorism. The FBI was complicit in J6. They were involved in J6. The FBI, the one that she's winning awards from. She's a play ball kind of person from what I can see. So then it says here, New England, certificate of appreciation for prosecuting people for drugs. 1997, let's talk about Allison D. Burroughs, Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task. Secret Service Certificate of Appreciation. Remember, the person she clerked under was appointed by Jimmy Carter. So even back in 98, when she's a prosecutor, she's getting appreciation from the Secret Service. It's pretty crazy how connected this power is. I wouldn't be surprised if she's connected to people who go to the Bilderberg Group. So now I want to talk about something here. In 1997, she won an award from the Drug Enforcement Agency for her outstanding work, okay? So let's just play that back now, because now it's 2022. Most people who were sentenced by her in 1997 for drugs, it's 2022 now, so that's 25 years. So, my dad was in prison for 20 years for being a cocaine dealer from Colombia. That's a fact. And I've never hid it. I've never hid it. I'm never going to hide it. I don't care. I didn't know my father till I became an adult. And but let me ask you a question. Now the people who Allison D. Burroughs sentenced to prison in 1997, where she got an award from the DEA, how much better is the drug problem? How much better is it? Put a 1 in the chat if the drug problem's never been worse. Put a 1 in the chat if the number one killer of mankind right now in the United States of America is drugs. Put a 1 in the chat if the drug problem's never been at its highest. Put a 1 in the chat if you had a friend die from fentanyl this year, because there was fentanyl in the cocaine in Hollywood. And if you know someone who died this year, her name was Casey, and I loved her. So since she got an award in 1997, all the people that she put in prison in 1997, they got out of prison. How much better is their lives? Did that create a drag on society? Put a 1 in the chat if that put a drag on society, locking up all those people from 1997. And put a 1 in the chat if locking up all those people in 1997 did no good. Put a 1 in the chat if locking up all the people where Allison's winning awards for being a prosecutor, if all the work she did is an actual negative contribution to the United States of America. Put a 1 in the chat if Allison D. Burroughs helped destroy this country by locking up people for drugs. Put a 1 in the chat. Let me take a look. Let me turn my chat on. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Sentencing people to prison for drugs, Allison D. Burroughs, if you do have the chance to look at this video, which maybe you do, you ruined our country by locking up people, by endorsing the war on drugs, by winning awards from the FBI, by the DEA. When I'm in power, when I'm governor of a state, which Oh man, the powers that be, all those people, all those alumni, all those associations of people are going, oh man, this guy's going to run for governor. We can't let him win. People say to me, are you afraid that you're going to be assassinated? When I run for governor is when I'll actually have a legitimate fear. When I'm going into power and I'm going to abolish the DEA in the state that I represent, at that point, that's when I'll have a legitimate fear, because the DEA is the worst agency in the United States of America. Put a 1 in the chat if you put a 1 in the chat if you are against the DEA. If you think the DEA has ruined our country, put a 1 in the chat if you think the DEA is a degradation, a downgrading, dismal, disgusting, murderous organization. They are. So most people are putting 1s if Allison D. Burroughs ever takes a look at this. So she helped ruin our country. Director Award for Superior Performance, Assistant U.S. Attorney. Who knows what that was for? Let me see here. Okay, now I can read this again. Sorry, I had to hide the chat. Boston Police Detective Benevolent Society. Didn't I go to Boston and say that cops might rape your children later? Didn't I do that? I did do that, right? I mean, I don't think it was necessarily right to do it in that moment. I wouldn't do that again, but I wasn't lying. Put a 1 in the chat if you think this woman is biased against me. It's because she supports the Boston Police Department, and I went there, and this is the Boston Police Detective Benevolent Society. So she's getting CopSucking awards 20 years ago, 21 years ago. That's what's going on with Allison. I'm just saying. And I don't like cops, and I never have. And so now, United States Secret Service certificate. So why is she getting Secret Service certificates and awards? In recognition of all your effort. This is a primer, guys. This is 20 years ago. They're priming her so that she can be appointed a federal judge by Obama. This is a priming. And this goes back, remember, it's not just Allison. It goes back to Norma, UPenn graduate. It goes back to Horace, UPenn graduate. These people are all in it together. These folks are all in it together. Let me get back to Ballotpedia here real quick. So there that is. So Director Award for Superior Performance as a United States Attorney. International IRS Award again, folks. Raging liberal. These are where the liberals want to just tax us. California, here in California, tax. In recognition of your outstanding contribution to the IRS. Allison D. Burroughs gets awards from the IRS. In 2005, right here, and in 1995, right here. Dedication for cash unlimited. So she's working hand in hand. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that Allison D. Burroughs is working as a statist. If you think she's working for a centralized power to tax us, to use that money against us, or foreign wars all over the country that are not going to benefit any of us. Put a 1 in the chat if you think she's a great big cop supporter and a prison supporter. It sounds like she's been locking up people for decades. And then in 94, when Obama came in and appointed her federal judge, now she's the grand poobah. I mean, what do the women call themselves on Instagram now? The boss bitch. That's what they say. It's all over Instagram. That's what they say. So now right here, Internal Revenues Award, Federal Bureau of Investigations, and appreciated for your prosecutor skills all throughout the years. Federal Bureau of Investigations. Who are you? Remember, 80% of people in federal prison don't belong there. They're convicted on conspiracy charges. Most FBI investigations, FBI cases are based on conspiracy. Chamber and Partners leading U.S. white-collar crime and government investigations litigation attorney. Massachusetts super lawyer. This is where she's a super lawyer. She's a prosecuting super lawyer. She's getting money for the IRS, locking people in jail for drugs, approving conspiracy cases for the FBI. She's a super prosecutor. Now she's a fellow litigation of the Council of America. Man, this chick is powerful, man. Super lawyers, top women. Do they have the top men attorneys? I'm just wondering. Super lawyers, top women attorneys in Massachusetts. Super lawyers, business edition. Oh, that's right, because in the opioid case, you can't deal drugs. If you deal drugs, you're going to prison. Let me show you something. Allison D. Burroughs, in this case right here, She ruled. Oh, it didn't. It blanked out. God bless it. I'll show you on the YouTube channel right here, guys. So when you go back one, and then you go right here, I'm going to show you just a tiny little blurb of this. So you can't deal drugs. Remember, if you deal drugs, you're going to prison. Unless, of course, one of your friends from the team in the Northeast, unless they own the corporation. In a high-profile opioid case, a federal judge has overturned part convictions against executives at Instance Therapeutics, the maker of a liquid fentanyl painkiller called Suboxone. U.S. District Attorney Allison Burroughs ruled that if you're a white-collar drug dealer, Allison will let you out of prison. But if you are just a drug dealer and supplying drugs for people who want them from supply and demand, well, then she's going to get awards from the police for locking you in a dungeon. Put a 1 in the chat if you think this woman is a statist. Put a 1 in the chat if you think this woman is a nightmare on our society, because I feel like she is. I feel like she's done nothing but bad so far. I can't even get through it all. I can't even go fast enough. So, super lawyer woman, super lawyer, international global law experts. Oh, wait a minute. So another cop society, the Global Law Experts Award, Business and Crime Lawyer of the Year in Massachusetts. So she's hand in hand with the people who I say are pigs. I don't know how I can get a fair trial in this woman's court. Best lawyers in America. She's the best. Allison's the best. Good for Allison. Good for you, Allison. Sounds like you're having a heck of a career there, Allison. Sounds like me. Let me make this font a little bit bigger here. Okie dokie. That's Norma. There's Allison. So we're back here. So 68. And then we're going to go here. Federal Judges Service. 2014, Barack Obama nominated Burroughs to serve as United States District Judge of the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts to the seat vacated by Judge Raya W. Zobel. So I'm not sure if you guys know this, right? But the Republicans and Democrats who are running for representative or senator where you live, it's already predetermined 85% of the time or something like that. It's like 85 or 90%. I think it's they said 4 out of 5 different representatives, be senator or House of Representatives, the seat is already predetermined to a certain type of individual. A liberal or a conservative or this or that. There's about 10 to 20% of the seats that could be won by someone different. And typically that someone different is in that same particular liberal ideology or conservative ideology or Republican wheelhouse or Democrat wheelhouse, where they have a machine there and they've locked out any third party, which I'm creating a new third party. So, because I couldn't run as a Republican or Democrat because they're all in it together. So this is who she replaced. She replaced Raya W. Zobel, appointed by Jimmy Carter. So Jimmy Carter, liberal, appointed this woman right there in 1979, and then Obama put in this woman. There she is. That's the judge in my case. As far as I'm concerned, it sounds like she's from a raging liberal, super Northeast, cliquish, government authority, authoritarian power, cop-sucking position, as far as I'm concerned. And so then Raya, who is appointed by Jimmy Carter, then she's replaced by Allison, who's appointed by Barack Obama. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the fix is in. The fix is in. They're going to get their people in power, those Democrats and Republicans, and there's not going to be anything you're going to get to say about it. There's nothing. Let me take a look at the chat here. Put a 1 in the chat. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. You're going to get your liberal judge or your conservative judge. And I think, that was the thing. Did you guys know that? And I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of that. I know this, that I can, don't let me teach it to you. Let someone else teach it to you. I'm just showing you guys the research that I do because I'm a freaking nutball about learning stuff. So, what I really need to learn is court procedure, huh? That's what I really need to learn, right? But I don't have 2 seconds. So this is where you can really learn what Trump was doing and what the Republicans have been doing. And look how many views. It's so terrible. The scheme, Sheldon Whitehouse was his name. Sheldon Whitehouse. He's the senator from Delaware, I think, Massachusetts. Anyway, this guy explains how they're running dark money to get... hey Scrub, is that is that our guy? No, because our guy's a moderator, so that couldn't be him. Scrub, that couldn't be our guy. Our guy's a moderator on this channel. I can double check on that. So he wouldn't be in the room if he wasn't a moderator. So it is. It certainly is. It certainly is. So look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to be able to get justice from this woman who's a gigantic copsucker from her awards. From the awards she's winning from the cops and the FBI and the IRS, I don't feel like I'm getting a fair trial here. I don't feel like, remember, I'm the plaintiff and she keeps on trying to beat me up in court because from what my perspective is that she's a giant copsucker and she doesn't like that I hate cops. I don't respect any of them. I don't respect Allison. I don't respect them. I don't respect it. I don't have to respect you. I'm not forced to respect you because you demand that I respect you because you're from an elite Northeast faction. Come on, you guys can see it. $100,000 a year college, honey? I mean, are you kidding me, babe? That's a lot of money. God bless you. But you've colluded power to yourselves, and the people want it back. And you are a problem in our society because look, how many awards is she winning by the FBI and the IRS? And by the way, let me ask you guys a question. When she wins an award from the Secret Service, the IRS, from the Drug Enforcement Agency, that means she's putting people in prison. That means she's putting people in prison is what that means. She's getting awards for for prosecuting people and putting them in a dungeon. She didn't go to college in 1965. I'm sorry, she was born in 1961. So that means she would have gone to college in 1980. 1961, 71, 81. She would have gone to college in 1980. I'm about right. So if she went to college in 1980, she paid now inflation today, I guarantee you, go look at someone can do this because I'm not going to do it with everybody on the phone, but go look up so 1988, V. Boyer, look up what it cost to go to college there in 1988, and then just do inflation gap and put it into the computer, and it'll tell you exactly what it costs, what she paid, what her parents would have paid. And I wonder, what I'd like to ask Allison is, did you have to take out student loans or did your parents pay for that? And if they did, that's cool. I'm happy for you. I'm not jealous. But just understand that you're coming from the wrong perspective. The majority of the people don't have parents that can pay $100,000 to send their kid to college. They just don't. So that means you're an elitist. If Jimmy Carter appointed the Allison D. Burroughs predecessor, Norma, and Norma was appointed by Jimmy Carter, and then remember this Allison D. Burroughs, she's winning awards from the Secret Service here. She's winning awards from the Secret Service. I mean, why is she winning awards from the Secret Service? You see? Michael Mahone, why are comments being deleted? People are only deleted if they're a jerk and they call me names or they come in with a stupid username and then they get deleted from the room or timed out if they say stupid things. So she's winning. PJC Net just said winning awards from the Secret Service 20, 30 years ago. That's kind of suspect. I mean, I'd like to ask Allison, if I could, what did you win awards from the Secret Service for? How come you're getting awards from the Secret Service? I'm just wondering. Oh, is it Penn University? Did I say UPenn? I'm so sorry, Jeffrey. Remember, I'm a regular old dunce cap. Everything I've learned on my own on the internet. I struggled to go to college. I took out student loans. I paid back my student loans. So there's that. I did pay back all my student loans. And, but I struggled to go to college. I got a Pell Grant, I think, a couple times. I got a couple Pell Grants. But I didn't have the backing that I needed to really be able to focus and go to college. And so because of that, I had blown my knee out, and then I was working at Subway in between classes to pay my bills. And I went to college for 5 years, and I almost graduated. But then that last year, I had some personal things happen with emotionally, and it just broke my spirit, and I didn't want to continue anymore, and I just was done with it. I only went to go wrestle. I wanted to wrestle, and I couldn't. My knees weren't good enough, and the guy at my weight was All-American, and I couldn't beat him with my knee how it was. I got smoked. So I wanted to compete, but I couldn't. So, not woe me. I'm just saying that's most of us. That's most people here is what I'm saying. Most of y'all have a similar story to me. So it's not woe is me. It's woe is that there's a certain elitist amount of population that gets to go to $100,000 a year schools. And the most of us are, scrapping and struggling and begging. That's me and my friend Tina that we laugh about all the time. I'm begging. Yes. But, just so you guys know, I successfully e-bagged over $20,000 for people this year. What was it, 40,000 or 20,000? But we successfully raised, I think we're at 40 grand. Isn't that what I said the other day? Because I calculated it all up. We've raised over 40 grand for people this year. And of that 40 grand, almost $3,000 I did raise for myself. So I raised about 8% of the money, that I raised this year went to my pocket. And then I donated $5,000 this year from my online store. In the past year that I've been on YouTube. So those are the numbers. And I'll publish them all. I just haven't done anything yet. But so the New England Organized Crime Outstanding Work Conduct. So this last word in this paragraph, who do you think that applies to? Do you think that applies to the Allison Burroughs crowd with Norma and Raya up there who are getting appointed by Jimmy Carter and Obama? This last word here, who do you think this last word applies to? I'm going to show you guys something. Put a 1 in the chat if you think this applies to you, the people. Right here. 1997, New England Organized Crime in appreciation of the work conducted on Operation Crackdown. Operation Crackdown. Who do you think that crackdown was on? Put a 1 in the chat if you think the crackdown was for you. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that crackdown is on the people. Nobody likes drunk driving, right? Nobody likes, seeing people get hurt and killed from drunk driving, right? Put a 1 in the chat if drunk driving is the worst it's ever been in the history of drunk driving. Put a 1 in the chat if drunk driving is the worst it's ever been in the history of drunk driving. Put a 1 in the chat. It's the worst it's ever been, right? And so Mothers Against Drunk Driving is going to happen right after the 1990. So Mothers Against Drunk Driving is going to start in 1980. And then they're going to press to get roadblocks put in. And then in the 1990 case of SITZ versus Michigan State Police, SITZ versus Michigan State Police. This is where SITZ sues because they set up a Nazi checkpoint in the United States of America. And in SITZ versus the United States, SITZ versus Michigan State Police, SITZ initially loses the case in state court, and then it goes to the federal court, and the federal court rules that. So the whole thing is reasonableness. It's the reasonable standard. The Fourth Amendment is the right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. So that first part of the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable searches and seizures, the SITZ case, when it goes to court, the entire precedent of the case is based on the word reasonableness. And so what happens in the SITZ case, he loses in state court, it goes to federal court, and the federal judges say it's completely unreasonable to line up drivers in the United States of America to search their cars. It is a gigantic intrusion into your Fourth Amendment. It's beyond reasonable. Well, of course, because of Penn U people and the people who are all colluded, not all Penn U people, sorry Penn U people, I'm just going off on Allison, I apologize to you guys. Because of the collusion of power within super elite organizations, fraternities, sororities, and such, then what happens is when the Michigan State Police prosecutor appeals for certiorari to the Supreme Court, what happens is they then overrule the federal court and say that it's very reasonable for the police to stop you in a Nazi checkpoint to ask you the question if you've been drinking or not. That happened in 1990. It's not too late to reverse it. We can stop this bullshit. But you have to know the case law, and then we have to change the system because, there's something I got to tell you guys. There's something I got to tell you guys, and I want to. This is hard to say. It's hard to say that when you think you were wrong. I think I was wrong. I don't think that suing every cop in America is going to work. I think the system has to be changed. I think a majority of the people have to say this system sucks and we want to change it. And we all want to change it, and here's the changes that we want. And that's where it gets sticky because the top two reasons why people don't change is because number one, they don't know what that change is. And then number two, they don't feel like they're a part of that change from the information I've been gathering from podcasts and the internet. So the 1990 case of Sitz versus Michigan State Police, collectively, we can all just say we don't want Nazi checkpoints in America anymore. We don't want to call them DUI checkpoints or driver's license checkpoints or immigration checkpoints. We don't want any of those in the United States of America. You're welcome to have immigration checkpoint on the border. But I think the immigration checkpoint in New Mexico is about 20 miles north of the border. And I don't understand why there's an immigration checkpoint in the United States of America. And once you're here, you're here. It sucks. Sucks if we can't get that person citizenship, because then they can be a paying member to society and contributor to society. Instead of sending all their money back to the country that they came from, they can establish a bank account here and then establish a house and make their house become their bank, and they can eventually grow into prosperity and live the American dream. So yeah. Yeah. So I believe that I was wrong in the assessment that just suing the government is going to help us. I think that there has to be an overwhelming swell of people that say, I want to change the system and here's how I want to change it. And so that's what I'm doing right now. You guys don't know what I'm doing. I can't really tell anybody, but there's a few people in this room who know what I'm doing. But I'm creating a way to change the system where people will be able to say, that's my idea. I think we should change it like that. That's what I'm doing. And you guys don't even know it, but it's going on right now. So anyway, let me turn the comments on real quick. Okay, there you are. There you are. Oh, what's going on, Archangel for Truth? Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So it sounds to me, but let's keep going. Oh, let's keep going. So down here, associations. 2007 to, let me turn the comments off so I can read this here. 2007 to present, WomanAid Boston, vice president. So what is WomanAid Boston? What is that? Those are her Senate questions. WomanAid Boston. WomanAid. Is there a man-aid? A man-aid Boston? Is there a man-aid Boston? I'm not sure if there is. As Women Collectives Giving Circle, Women Boston supports nonprofit organizations in the greater Boston area that improve lives of underserved women and teens, which I agree with this, by the way. I think we should provide both birth control and women's needs every month to every single woman in this country. And I don't think it should be, you should just be able to go and get it. I'm all for this, actually, so I can't really hack it. I'm all for it. There's so many women in this country who don't have access to birth control and don't have access to women's needs. So I'm 100% for this. I hope they do this. I hope they do well. I wish you guys luck. So this was, there's no man-aid because men don't need birth control and they don't need, I get it now. So impact, let me see what they do. Let me see. Any more information on this? Cool. Stay in touch. I don't know what it is. Get involved. Current grantees, past grantees. Oh, I don't know what this is. Let me see what this is about, really. Why women and girls? Okay, so this is the richest country in the, yeah, we know this. I mean, Allison certainly knows this. She's going to those schools. And it's ranked one of the lowest developed nations on measurements of women's economic security, health, and well-being. This is true, by the way, that we don't provide enough access for women's birth control or their monthly needs. This means that American women bear a significant, disproportionate burden of poverty, workplace. Guys are suffering too, but this is the part I'm talking about. It's hard all over, just so you know. It's hard all over. So, it's in the United States, women without a high school diploma have 90% chance of raising children in poverty. Women who, some of these things are true, but it's sometimes I feel like it's gone just like where, sometimes it just goes a little bit where we just kind of stop forgetting about our young boys and men. And so I don't want to do that, so she's involved with something where working women are paid 80% of what men are. That's, for Allison, who is the federal district judge, she wants to be in charge. She wants to be the boss. When they did studies and asked women what they wanted to do, a majority of them, just so you know, one of my cousins is the boss of one of the biggest industries in the world, and she's the boss. Like she was the boss of everybody. She was the boss of her husband. She was the boss. So there's some women like my cousin who want to be the boss, like Allison Burroughs. But when they did a study on it, they found that most women didn't want to be the boss. And a lot of those reasons were so that they could check out if they had kids. And then also because they didn't want to be in charge. Remember, this women being in the workplace, we're 60 years into it, 100 years into it at the most. You can listen to JP about this. He talks about it in pretty great detail. But so that's what she does here. Let's keep going down the list and see what else she does here. What other groups she's a part of. But I mean, as far as that group, Women Aid, I support that 100% if we're talking about birth control and reproductive needs, because all of us need help with education. All of us need help with being paid a fair wage. It's not just women in this country who are not being paid a fair wage. It's 90% of this country who's not being paid a fair wage. And that's going to go back to the 1937 case of West Coast Hotel versus... Is it West Coast Hotel versus the United States, which set the standard for minimum wage? Let me turn the chat on. Someone will correct my. What was that? Can someone tell me that exact case? Was it West Coast Hotel versus West Coast Hotel versus was it United States? What was it was West Coast Hotel versus. It set the standard for minimum wage. It's gonna bug me. It's gonna bug me. I don't think so, dude. I mean, I don't think so. And I wish we had gotten rid of all the trolls, but we haven't. They continue. As long as I continue to sue troll farms, I'll continue to have trolls. I just don't want to talk about them. I want to. Is it Parish? Thank you. West Coast Hotel versus Parish. I knew I was wrong on that. Thank you, Ace. I really appreciate that. So in 1937, in West Coast Hotel versus Parish, that set the standard for a minimum wage. And just so you guys know, we should never, ever have fought for a minimum wage. And I get this from the Professor Jack Rakove from Stanford University. I listened to all of his lectures. And his words exactly are that we should have fought for the value of the labor being imparted. So that, if you work at that McDonald's on the corner, that McDonald's might make $1 million, $2 million a year, but you're still being paid minimum wage because you can just pump a ketchup thing or warm the buns up or cook a burger. But the value of the labor being imparted when working in a team creates a gigantic value. And so because of West Coast Hotel versus Parish, we fought for a minimum wage standard instead of the value of the labor being imparted. And so So we screwed ourselves. But remember, we were coming. So 1937 is gonna mark the end of the Lochner era. If you don't know, Lochner, Lochner era, and it's called the Lochner era from 1897 to 1937. Is it 1937 or was it 1938? But I'm real close right there. So the Lochner era in that time period of history is where you think it's bad now. That's when the Supreme Court, the white supremacy Supreme Court, because we've had a racist Supreme Court since the very beginning. So that's when the white supremacy Supreme Court had 40 years of pure tyranny. Remember, with the 17th Amendment in 1937, I believe. No, I'm sorry, 19. It's gonna bug me. I have so much data in my head, I can't keep it all. It was 1912. So it was the 17th Amendment in 1912. So let me kind of break this down a little bit for you guys, and I'm going to put this on a timeline, and I'm going to teach it to you in the next few months here. But I want you guys to understand something here. So she's doing woman aid to try to get more money for women who only make 80% of the wages of men. And I pushed back on that. And I said that, well, men don't make any money either because of West Coast Hotel versus Parrish, the 1937 or 1938 case that created the minimum wage standard. So the reason why we were so happy to fight for minimum wages because 1897 to 1937, about 40 years, was called the Lochner era. And in the Lochner era, what they did is the senators, the United States senators, they were working in collusion with big business in each of their states. So in 1912, the 17th Amendment, it was 1913 actually, just so you know, because this says 1912, but it's incorrect. The 17th Amendment was passed in 1913. So when the 17th Amendment passes, it changes that the House of Representatives will appoint senators. Because it used to be that you voted for your House of Representatives and then your House of Representatives in Alabama would then appoint the senators for Alabama. Well, what was happening in Alabama and every other state is that the senators were colluding with big business and giving all the breaks to big business. And then when the little man would fight and take his case to the court, all the way up to the Supreme Court, you get the 1905 case of New York versus Lochner. And the reason why that era is called the Lochner era is because if you read Lochner versus New York from the 1905 case, what you will find is that it is the most egregious, disgusting ruling against the people, maybe in the history. Well, I mean, you do have Dred Scott in 1857, which is going to say that black folks are property. But when you're talking about the labor and getting to that minimum wage, you're talking about Lochner versus New York, 1905. If you have not read that holding, I strongly recommend you look up 1905, Lochner versus New York. And so that time period of history from 1897 to 1937, was it 19? It was 1936. Anyway, so that period of history is defined as the Lochner era because all the breaks. And so then in 1913, because it was going so poorly, the United States people passed an amendment that senators would be elected. And that broke what the Constitution said. That changed the constitutional standards to a new constitutional standard, that we would elect those senators. And so that happens in 1913. The Lochner era continues to go on until 1937, 1936, because you're going to have the 1938 case, because it's the 1938 case of Caroline Products, Carolene, Caroline Products versus the United States. And that's going to be 1938. And what that's going to say is that the courts can give a monopoly to anybody they want, including the dairy industry. And what you're going to get out of that Caroline Products case is called strict scrutiny. And they're going to take strict scrutiny away from that case. But what I took away from the case is that the federal government, when you get to the highest levels of government, they will work in collusion with the government, even though we changed the Constitution to elect senators in 1913. But the Supreme Court in Caroline Products is going to give the milk industry a monopoly. So in West Coast Hotels versus Parrish, that's the fight for minimum wage. And so the people were just happy to get a minimum wage. I'm not going to go into the Lochner case, but if you read the Lochner case, you'll understand why. And all this stuff is better on a timeline, so I'll put it on a timeline. I'm going to teach it all again, but I want to keep going on Allison here because I was here. I wanted to make sure that the year. See, it says 1912 here, but that's incorrect. It's 1913. So she's an investor in Mahoning Valley Scrappers. Does anybody know what that is? What is Mahoning Valley Scrappers? Does anybody know what that is? Oh, would you take a look at this? She's the class agent of Middlebury College. Oh my, what was I saying earlier? What was I saying earlier? That they're all, she's the class secretary. Allison, you're connected. Allison D. Burroughs is connected, man. She's got people. She makes a phone call and someone's got a friend over there in this part of the world and they can help her out with do this. They're all in it together. It's a big club and you ain't in it. Oh, man. So what I tell you guys, there it is. She's the class secretary. This is, I mean, this is $100,000 a year college. They have a $1.5 billion endowment. Allison's got some power. Allison's a pretty powerful lady. Sorry about that. So then we go down here. Trustee and board member of Agassiz Village. Government committee. Board president. Development and events committee. Man, I think I'm alpha. Man, this chick is alpha. Allison D. Burroughs is an alpha. Alpha female. She is an alpha. It's a summer camp. It's a summer camp. God bless you, sir. Thank you for it. Oh, Paul Chavez. Paul Chavez Jr. Oh, my God. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. And I'm going to put it on the community page, and I want to come back and revisit this. Hey, can you send me an email? We'll take a look at that, man. We'll take a look at that. I'm taking the screenshots. I'm going to get back to you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Everybody, if you would pop his name into Google, but I'm gonna do a deep dive on him. Good to see you, Microsoft Teams. Oh yeah. So Microsoft Teams said that the war on drugs had zero effect on drug trafficking. Actually, if you read the 1994 Mullen Commission, and if you take a look at the 1972 Knapp Commission, both of those are available on my website for free. You can download those. And what Microsoft Teams just said was that the war on drugs had zero to do with trafficking. When you read those two commissions, you know what you find out is that the FBI and the cops were the biggest drug traffickers in the world, not just in America, in the entire world. The cops, the FBI, the DEA have been running drugs all around the entire world. They are the biggest drug runners. They are the biggest drug dealers. The DEA is the biggest drug dealing, pimped out organization in the entire world. The police are running the drugs. You can read that in the Knapp Commission of 72. You can read that in the Mullen Commission of 1994, which are available on my website for free. What's going on, my friend? How are you? I'm on a live. I got 250 people in here, so how you doing? No, it's okay. Love you guys. I was just spouting off some data that you sent me. So let me get back to it. Jump in the live and say hello, and I'll point you out, okay? Love you guys. Thanks for calling me. Bye. So, but now hold on a minute. I don't want to get sidetracked here. Remember, we're focusing on what Allison does, because I have the right to look up who is the one that I feel is being very unfair and unjust, because I said and I continue to say she's a CopSucker. So let's take a look at this. Aziz Village Summer Camp. Okay, there it is. Aziz Village is a nonprofit that provides opportunities for children in underserving communities from Massachusetts to Maine. Oh, man. Oh, man. So, but okay. So the person who just wrote that, that's nice, but you have to look a little bit deeper. You have to look a little bit deeper. Let me do a little investigation here. Let me just take a look here. So this is in Portland, Maine. Here it is. Let me find out the price of this place. Is it totally nonprofit, or is it just for underprivileged kids? Let's see. Cost. Registration to attend. Our goal is to ensure that every child. I mean, she's the leader of it, and it's a nonprofit. So let's see. It's a nonprofit camp. You can't make this stuff up. The tuition rate is $1,600 per camper for 2-week session. Right there. So this, okay, now let me break down how nonprofits kind of operate. It's not really my field, but because I'm investigating another nonprofit, I can tell you a little bit of data that I've learned. So when you have a nonprofit organization, you can create a committee or a board. And when you create that committee or the board for the nonprofit organization, then the members of the board are paid a little bit of money. So now what that money is, look, if it's $500 a month or $5,000 a month, but the board members typically either, and it could be the opposite as well. The board members could be contributing in themselves. There are good people in the world. When you get these cliquish Northeast liberals who all collude power together, then I kind of start to go, I don't know if I believe in anything that they're saying. Biden was Obama's VP. Have you connected the dots yet? It's a Penn University. I misspoke that. Someone said Penn University. So let me explain how the nonprofit works. So just so you know, then what that is that when you have that kind of school like Aziz, that could be filled with privileged kids and then they put in some underprivileged kids. It could be filled with all underprivileged kids. To be honest, we really don't have enough data here. However, I know this, that a lot of nonprofits can be, I don't know enough information, so I don't want to assume anything because I want to be fair. I don't want to be unfair. And if she's running a nonprofit organization for underprivileged kids, great. But sometimes nonprofits are not everything that they seem. So that's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to be unfair. If someone's doing something good in the world, I don't want to hack them when they could be doing something good just because I feel like I'm being treated unfair by that person. So I told you I was just fired up earlier. I was just going through some stuff because of my own personal strife with dealing with death, and I was in a mood. So she's in the 2006 committee here, United States Courts of Massachusetts. Cool. What are these footnotes here? President Obama nominees 2 to serve on the United States Supreme Court, on the United States Federal Court. So then we're gonna get, now right here, what these are the Senate questions that she had to answer. So I just want to see, and remember, a lot of this stuff is going to be very vanilla when you're trying to get confirmed as a federal judge. And so that's one of the big things of delete laws. In 2023, I have some organizational structure coming in here, and I'm going to do things a little bit more precise. But one of the pillars that we have that I've always talked about. Thank you, I appreciate that. Let me turn the comments off so I can focus. So one of the things about delete laws, this channel, is we don't want federal judges appointed. We don't want Supreme Court personnel appointed. We want those people to be voted in because they're politicians anyway. And put a 1 in the chat if you think federal judges are politicians. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Supreme Court justices, which they never are, hardly ever, are politicians. Let me turn the chat on again so I can see it. Put a 1 in the chat if you think they're politicians, and let me prove my case here. Let me prove my case because I don't want to just be a giant dunce cap. I want to show you the data and then you make your own decision. So let me flip the camera around here. Okay, so we go back to, we just went down this. But, Horace Stern, he was a member of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court where she was a clerk when she went to a $100,000 a year school. And the clerk for her would have been Norma. And Norma went to a $100,000 a year school too. And she was appointed by Jimmy Carter, who's a hardcore liberal. And Horace here, he was also a hardcore liberal. And so then when you go here, when you go to Allison Burroughs, she's appointed by Barack Obama, who appoints a hardcore liberal. So they are already politicians. JNS is in the room. That's a good friend of mine, you guys. Oh, be careful, JNS. Now you're going to get a bunch of hate. I said you were my friend. I'm not painting with broad brushes, brother. I'm not painting with broad brushes. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I'm not a court procedure scholar, as we can all see, right? Go ahead, let it fly. Who doesn't know court procedure? Who's gotten their ass kicked in court this year? Who doesn't know court procedure? That doesn't mean that I'm not a constitutional law scholar, because I am. And so someone just chimed in here a second ago and said, you're painting with broad brushes here. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Not at all whatsoever. When you study the Supreme Court cases that I've studied, and you can get them on my deletelaws.com, you can get my poster, you can get my ebook. I sent off a bunch for free. Oh, by the way, if you guys donated to Press with Rancor and I didn't get you guys your free ebook or your free digital poster or your free trifold, the digital trifold, not the hard copy one, please make sure you contact me. There was 3 or 4 people that got through the cracks because my uncle died, I was thrown off, and I was an emotional mess because of I just was. So there's a few people I missed. They sent me emails that say, hey, I donated to Press with Rancor. So anyway, someone said earlier, you can see it. So the guy who said earlier that I'm painting with broad brushes here, you tell me. You tell me. Put a 1 in the chat if you think I'm right. Put a 2 in the chat if you think I'm wrong. Federal judges and Supreme Court judges are already politicians. Remember, this chick is winning Secret Service awards when she's a prosecutor. This chick right here, she's appointed by Barack Obama. Do you know Barack Obama? Does anybody here know Barack Obama? She's already a politician. She's a politician from the time she goes to Middlebury School. She's going to Middlebury School. She's already a politician. She's the class secretary, remember? And then you go back here to Norma. Norma's going to be appointed by Jimmy Carter. They're both Penn University alumni. The same thing with Horace. Horace is a Penn University alumni. University of Pennsylvania. Is it UPenn or Penn U? I just don't know. Can someone tell me? Because I'm a great big dunce cap. I have no idea. Okay? So are judges already politicians? Put a 1 in the chat if you think judges are already politicians. If you think that judges are politicians, put a 1 in the chat. If you think that they're quietly politicking behind the scenes, put a 1 in the chat. I just want to know how many people think that judges are quietly rubbing elbows with Jimmy Carter's and Barack Obama's, and they go to the most expensive college, they go to the most expensive law schools, and they're from an elite Northeast liberal yuppie organization. I'm sorry. It's on you. It's on Wikipedia. I felt like I was just now stuck in a box. And I was like, I can't get out of this. Like, you can look it up on Wikipedia. You can trace back the people who clerk for this person, who clerk for that person. You can do it yourself. You don't even got to be smart. You can just click the buttons in and look for yourself. Wikipedia is not right all the time, like they weren't about the 17th Amendment, but they're right about this. They're right about this. Thanks for the super chat, guys. I appreciate it. I only saw 1 or 2 come in. I do appreciate it, though. Thank you for the support. God bless you. God bless you guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Matt's got a good point. Matt, you got a good point there, brother. Matt's got a good point. Now, Wikipedia is a pretty good source. Do you think that they're lying that they went to Pennsylvania University? Who thinks that Wikipedia is wrong? Put a 2 in the chat. If you think Wikipedia is right about where these people went to college, put a number 1 in the chat. If you think Wikipedia is right, put a 1 in the chat about where these people went to college. Go, what's going on, LA Spike? I'm a subscriber. I've been over by your channel now. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Oh, Mary, did you cross the line? Did Mary cross the line? I would like to read that. Oh, so the people don't like Wikipedia, huh? About half the people do, half people don't. Ethric, how you doing, buddy? I'm reading the comments. How many people? Put a 1 in the chat if you think Wikipedia is right about where they went to college. That's all I'm asking. If Wikipedia is right about where those 3 different folks went to college, put a 1 in the chat. Right, but they're not wrong about where they went to college. They're not wrong that they're all alumni of the same school. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. So, I'm just saying. Oh, yeah. Hey, by the way, that could be true. But you know what? Hold on a minute. Someone just said that. So H. Whitaker just said Anthony Scalia was murdered. On my ranking of... So just so you guys know, I've read a ton of Scalia's holdings, along with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I don't like either one of those judges. I've read their holdings. Scalia was inconsistent. So just so you guys know, I've gone over this a lot of times, but... it's you have the 19, it's going to be so you're going to have the 85 case, the 19, it goes in the 1995 case of Gonzalez versus Reich, R-A-I-C-H, this is the case that's going to be the legalization case for marijuana, where we can grow marijuana at our own homes. And that's the 1995 case of United States of Gonzalez versus Reich, R-A-I-C-H. And that's going to be the Attorney General. Are my years off? I just want to make sure I'm correct on this. What year is Gonzalez versus Reich? What year is Gonzalez versus Reich? Is it 1995? 2005. 1995. So it's going to be 2005. Is it, God bless America. What year was Gonzalez versus Reich? I believe it's the 2005 case of Gonzalez versus Reich. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. I just want to be double sure. I just don't want to be wrong. Because if I'm wrong, okay. Okay, good. So it was the 2005 case of Gonzalez versus Reich. And what that did is that made it so that marijuana would remain criminalized, a Schedule I drug, on the Drug Enforcement Agency. We're living in such a tyrannical police state. It's crazy. So I get lost because the reason why marijuana was put as a Schedule I drug is because of Harry Anslinger and the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act. But in the 2005 case, I was talking about Scalia, he voted in collusion with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and they voted together for make a 6-3 vote in Gonzalez versus Reich that made growing marijuana illegal. And had Scalia not done that, then there would be millions of people who wouldn't have been charged with either marijuana, paraphernalia, trafficking, all these different things. So as far as I'm concerned, I hope Scalia is burning in hell. I don't forgive him. I'm human. I don't have the ability to forgive him for locking up millions of people. I hope Ruth Bader Ginsburg's right next to him and the devil's got a pitchfork in their face, because I can't stand either one of them. If they had voted the other way in Gonzalez versus Reich, millions of people from 2005 till now would not have been locked up. So every single person who's been arrested for a pipe or a joint, every single person who's been arrested for this since 2005, you can thank Anthony Scalia, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, now we found out she was a racist, and Anthony Scalia, we now found out was a hypocrite. So, remember, when you get to the tops of these D's and R's and the tops of these conservatives and liberals, they're the same. They work together. Remember, it took Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia. Do people know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia were supposed to be diametrically opposed? Put a 1 in the chat if you knew that Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia, who were on the court at the same time, if they were supposed to be diametrically opposed. Put a 1 in the chat if you knew that. Just put it in there. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. I mean, are you not learning anything? I mean, are you not having a healthy discussion? Hit the like button. I'm sorry I was so fired up. I'm not sorry. But earlier I was so fired up, so I kind of, I wanted to calm down a little bit and come back on and talk about the injustice I feel like I'm getting in the Massachusetts court. And the writings this woman, Allison Burroughs, is writing are nothing but disrespectful and atrocious. I told the opposition I would bury them in motions, and I'm doing that. So it's my right. They're not frivolous. The motions count. And Allison Burroughs is messing up what I want to do. And she's doing it against the interest of justice, as far as I'm concerned. So, did you guys know that? I pronounce it button, but I do appreciate you correcting me. Thank you. If it's your first time on my channel, then you probably don't know that I pronounce it the word button. So, I don't like Anthony Scalia, and I don't like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I don't like Allison Burroughs winning awards by the FBI and the DEA and then having a channel where I say that the DEA and cops are scum and Allison Burroughs wins awards. I don't think I'm getting a fair shot. That's what I don't think. So that's all I'm saying. June 6, 2005. God bless you, Archangel. I do appreciate it. Hit the like button. Just take 2 fingers and just hit the like button. Just take your finger and just walk down there. Deanna, good to see you. Cynthia, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Thanks everybody for coming. Oh, so hear this. Let me. Gonzalez versus Reich, 2005, like the gentleman said earlier in the chat. And in 1996, California voters, let me turn off the chat real quick. I'm sorry, guys. In 1996, California voters passed the Compassionate Users Act, legalizing marijuana for medical use.
California's laws conflicted with the Federal Controlled Substance Act, with Harry Anslinger's and Lamont DuPont's act that was written by Harry. Okay, so anyway. So California's conflicted with the Federal Controlled Substance Act that was written by Harry Anslinger, which banned possession of marijuana after Drug Enforcement Agency, which this used to be called it wasn't called the DEA, it was called the God bless it, my brain's misfiring tonight. Anyway, so the DEA seized doctor-prescribed marijuana from a patient's home. A group of medical marijuana users sued the DEA and U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft in federal district court. The medicinal marijuana users argued that the Controlled Substance Act, which Congress passed using its constitutional powers to regulate interstate commerce, which is what Scalia is going to go against himself on, exceeded Congress's Commerce Clause. The district ruled against the group. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed and ruled the Controlled Substance Act unconstitutional as it applied to interstate commerce within a state medicinal marijuana use, relying on two U.S. Supreme Court decisions, narrowed Congress's Commerce Clause, U.S. versus Lopez and U.S. versus Morrison. These are the two cases that were throwing my brain off, just so you know, I'm sorry. The Ninth Circuit Court ruled using medicinal marijuana did not substantially affect interstate commerce and therefore could not be regulated by Congress because it's within a state. You can't use the Interstate Commerce Clause to regulate a drug within a state. And that's why it got, so the question, does the Controlled Substance Act exceed Congress's power under the Commerce Clause as applied to the interstate cultivation and possession of marijuana? So then, so it was 6-3. And let me just go by ideology. By ideology, right, you got Ruth Bader Ginsburg over here and Stevens on the left, and you got Scalia on the right, and you got Kennedy on the right. He was supposed to be a liberal. He disappointed everybody, Kennedy. He just retired. Scumbag, 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 scumbag. Total, may the devil have you by the ass, you piece of trash. Scumbag. Fairly decent dude. This guy tried his hardest. I've read all of their opinions. Do you understand that? I've read hundreds of cases these guys ruled on. Hundreds. And this guy tried to be a good guy. He was a liberal, but he tried to be a good guy. But he had to work within the ideology often of the liberal positioning. So, and then in a 6-3 opinion delivered by Justice John Paul Stevens, but he voted to criminalize marijuana right here. So he tried to be a good guy. At least he was consistently the authoritarian. It's just so hard to call them good when this holding locked up millions of people. So Paul Stevens, the court held that, and of course, just so you know, they usually take the most liberal person if they vote with them and they have them do the holding. Or anyway, so the court held that the Commerce Clause gives Congress authority to prohibit the local cultivation and use of marijuana. So that was it. That's the entire thing. And so that's why I don't like Scalia and I don't like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I especially don't like Kennedy. Kennedy was a piece of shit. Rehnquist was a piece of shit, a giant piece of shit. Let me take that back about Rehnquist. Rehnquist was one of the most consistent Supreme Court justices that I read. He consistently was the same in his ideology, whereas Scalia in this particular holding, he's going to say, oh, it's not the Commerce Clause, it's the right to use police powers or something like that. He says, I'm not using the Commerce Clause, I'm voting for it because of this other thing. I can show you here. Firmly established Congress Commerce Clause to regulate purely local activities. Stevens argued that the court presented firmly established Congress Commerce Clause to regulate purely local activities that are part of class of activities with a substantial effect on interstate commerce. The majority argued, let me turn off these comments. The majority argued that Congress could ban local marijuana use because it was part of the class of activities. The national marijuana market, local use affected supply and demand in the national marijuana market, making the regulation of interstate use essential to regulating the drug's national market. The majority distinguished the case from Lopez and Morrison In those cases, statutes regulated non-economic activity and fell entirely outside of Congress's commerce power. In this case, the court was asked to strike down on a particular application of a valid statutory scheme. So what that means, just so you know, is they asked to strike they asked to strike the law down using the Interstate Commerce Clause. And so it's a statutory thing, which is, let me turn the comments on again. So there it is. What do you got, Chuck? What do you got, Chuck? What's up, Chuck? What's going on? Anyway, I just wanted to come on for a little while here and just kind of talk about, and anybody else has any information on Allison, I'd like to know other people that she was ruled against. I want to know other people who would identify at least not being a raging liberal, but somewhat of a conservative like I am, but I am pro-choice. So I guess the conservatives probably wouldn't have me, but then I'm all the way for the Second Amendment. We should wipe away all gun laws. The liberals won't have me either. So I guess there's somewhere in the middle, there's the majority of us who are both pro-choice and pro-Second Amendment. I think that there's a larger group of us in the middle who feel that way. I feel like there's a larger group of us who are pro-strong borders, but we want immigration in a legal, healthy way. I think there's a majority of us who are pro-choice, but we want to put the same amount of dollars that we fund abortions to the same amount of opportunity for women to have babies and be supported and not have an abortion. We need to have the same amount of money distributed to pro-life organizations that will take in a woman for a series of years to help her have that baby and nurture the baby up to 5 years old. Because you can be pro-life all you want while the baby's in the womb and then the baby gets out and you watch the baby drown because you just didn't want her to have an abortion for your own conscience. I talk about hard shit. If you can't take it, get out. Get out. I talk about hard stuff. Sorry if you can't take it. But I do feel like we're not funding both of those sides accurately. And so, hey, Charlie, little bear, come on. Come on. Hello, little bear. Hello, little guy. No, listen, Kurt, and there's a long debate about that, about what that is. But at the same time, I don't want to be, I am pro-choice. So I am pro-choice, and I'm not going to say that I'm not, because I am. And I would rather that we put more funding into people so they could have babies instead of having abortions because they simply can't afford it and they don't know where they're going to live and their dad's going to kick them out of the house if they're pregnant. And, there's all kinds of factors, the reason why women have abortions. And I think we should set up the proper facilities for women to be able to have the baby and be supported. Not just, here, we're going to support you while you have this baby. Now go struggle. And so we know that's true because why? Because in Target and Walmart and every other store in America, they lock up the baby formula in the front because women are having babies they can't afford. Put a 1 in the chat if I'm telling the truth. Put a 1 in the chat if I'm telling the truth. They lock the baby formula up because mothers can't afford to feed their baby. Put a 1 in the chat if I'm telling the truth. Do they lock up the baby formula at Walgreens? Do they lock up the baby formula at Target? Do they lock up the baby formula at Walgreens, at Walmart? Do they lock up the baby formula? Put a 1 in the chat if I'm telling the truth. There's a lot of reasons why women have abortions. And we're not addressing those reasons properly. We're saying, pray to Jesus and it's all going to be okay. No, it's not. It's not. It's really, really not. When you don't have enough money and you can't feed your baby, it's not going to be okay. You're going to have a miserable life and you're going to resent the kid. We got bigger problems than bickering about. Do they lock the baby formula up in the stores? Do they? Okay. So if we gave women a real option to have that baby and we funded life like we fund abortion, don't you think it'd be a better outcome? But instead, what do we fund? What are we funding? What are we funding? Anybody tell me? Anybody tell me what we're funding? FBI and art plaque for dedication. Nice job on your organized drug DEA administration, organized crime drug enforcement task force, award for superior performance as a prosecuting attorney. Queen of money laundering, award by the Detective Benevolent Society for locking people in dungeons. Good job, Allison. You're doing a great job. Drug Enforcement Agency, Secret Service Award. So that's where we're putting our money instead of putting money into baby formula for women who don't want to have an abortion, but they realize they can't even steal the baby formula anymore. They're locking it up. You know, if I could just have a heart-to-heart with Allison D. Burroughs, if I could just have a heart-to-heart, if I could just talk to her, I would say, Allison, you know, this is great. This is $1,600 for 2 weeks is great, Allison. This is great. I'm so happy. And then you got all these pictures of kids. $1,600 for 2 weeks, Allison. Good job, honey. Good job. But if one of these women gets pregnant, Allison, there's no money for baby formula. They're locking the baby formula up. Ms. Burroughs, why aren't you tackling that problem? Because she's no leader. She doesn't have any new ideas. She's not a leader. She's part of an elite upper northeast yuppie supreme liberal organization that they stack on top of each other and they replace each other in those seats by Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama. That's what she's a part of. She's not a leader. She was put into that role by her parents. They groomed her from the time she was a child and said, you're going to do this and you're going to go to this school. And then she went to Middlebury and then she went over to University of Pennsylvania. And now she has all the power in the world. Does she look like a leader to you? Does she look like she has any of her own ideas? Doesn't look like it to me. Doesn't look like it to me. Hey, KMB, there's a lot of channels on the internet, dude. There's 2 billion. You can go to another one if you don't like it. I'm focusing on the judge who's giving me injustice, and I wanted to break down who the person is that's being unjust against me. I feel like she's not doing me right. I feel like she's cheating me and I had to figure out why, and now we know she's getting awards from the Boston police detectives. She's getting awards from the FBI, organizations that I've openly said are dog shit. And she's winning awards. And she's got all this focus, but we got to abortion because you haven't been for the whole... How many people have been here for a long time? Put a 1 in the chat if you've been here for a long time. We've been on this thing for almost an hour and 40 minutes. Put a 1 in the chat if you've been here for a long time. So you probably just weren't sticking up with the conversation. Go back and watch more of the live. Anyway, listen, I'm going to get the flock out of here. Charlie Little Bear. Oh, Charlie Little. He doesn't like this. When he gets, there he is. There's the little bear. There's the little bear. You're so cute. Hello, guys. My name's Charlie. Listen, KMB, the reason why I'm talking about abortion is because I've openly said, and I'll continue to say it, I'm going to run for governor. And when I run for governor, I'm going to abolish the DEA in my state, and I'm going to create a funded organization for women who want to have their babies and don't want to have abortions. And I'm going to make sure that they don't have to steal the baby formula from the store because we're going to provide it for them. That's my idea. I'm just saying. Women who don't want to have a baby and want to have an abortion, I'm pro-choice. However, you might be having that abortion because you can't steal baby formula anymore. So if you want to go and do something else, we have a program where you're going to get baby formula and be supported till the baby is 5 years old. And during that 5 years, you can get an education, you can learn a trade, and then when the baby turns 5, you can go into the workforce if you're a single woman still. But with 5 years to raise the baby, she may find a partner or she may not. Doesn't matter. But I'm just talking about out loud my idea of what leadership is, KMB. So I feel like the judge is working for the attorneys on the other side. I have an idea that I want to bury these people in motions, and I'm doing that because every motion I file is not frivolous. Every motion I file is in the name of justice, meaning I have a right to file the motion. What's the First Amendment? Right to petition, right to file a motion. All right, I've been bloviating for an hour and a half here. I'm going to get the flock out of here. Listen, love you guys, man. Thanks for the super chats. I didn't see all of them come in, but I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Oh, and then I'm supposed to connect somebody. Who am I supposed to connect? I'm supposed to connect Tommy or Mikey. Is Mikey in the room? Hey, good to see you, Bruce. Mikey, shoot me an email if you're around. I'm going to get the flock out of here. I'm going to get the flock out of here. I do appreciate you guys' time. God bless you. God bless the United States. And just remember, under any circumstances, under any conditions, we don't stop. We don't stop. We don't quit. We're not going to stop. We're not going to surrender. We're going to overturn Terry versus Ohio. We're going to do it. I guarantee it, man. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to smoke some of that outside right now. I'm going to go on the back patio right now and smoke a bowl. So listen, I'm going to get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. See you guys on the next one. Later, Gators.